Hello, everyone. My name is Brook James, and in today's podcast, I'll be talking about gentrification in Flatbush, which is in Brooklyn, New York. So first, why I chose Flatbush, that's the neighborhood that I grew up in, and it's a place that I'm very familiar with, and it's also a place that is heavily gentrified. Furthermore, I wanted to move on to what gentrification is. Gentrification is the process whereby the character of a poorer urban area is changed by wealthier people moving in. So this entails improving housing and attracting new businesses, typically displacing current inhabitants in the process. So, in simpler words, gentrification is a process where wealthier residents move into a previously low income or poor neighborhood, which leads to increased property values and changes in the neighborhood and its overall feel or character as the original community tends to become displaced. Growing up, I've seen this happen in Flatbush. Even now, going back and looking at the difference is completely gentrified as there's new buildings that the people in those communities, the people that have built up these communities, they can no longer afford. So it's usually filled with white people or people that have more money, and they completely change this whole neighborhood. For example, you may see a corner store before that's now a Starbucks, or it's now a Whole Foods, or things that are targeted to people that have more money. So it completely changes the whole scenery of the neighborhood. To further speak on this topic, I wanted to introduce Trevor James. He is a Flatbush native. He's been there over 20 years now, and he's going to further speak on the topic of gentrification in Flatbush. As during his time, he got to see Flatbush go from a low-income neighborhood to a gentrified place. I'm here with Trevor, and Trevor, I wanted to just ask you some questions about gentrification in Flatbush. So, what is your experience with gentrification?
My experience with gentrification has been one of mixed feelings because on one half, it started out where the neighborhood is being, I guess, being modernized with beautiful buildings and new sets of faces coming into community. But on the other hand, it ended up being a bad thing because a lot of the people that helped build that community are pushed out due to the high increase in rent, the types of business that comes into the community is overpriced and so forth. So a lot of the people that live there and have built that community can't afford it. So they have to move to relocate so they can, afford to exist in a new space. So gentrification has the two aspects of it, of good and bad. And mainly I think is a bad thing because like I said, a lot of people are pushed out or have to be relocated.
Okay, thank you for your answer. And I just have one more question for you. As far as in Flatbush, what is the biggest part of gentrification that you've noticed? Like, what is the most impact you've seen in Flatbush regarding gentrification?
The biggest part I've seen in Flatbush is a lot of traditional housing has changed. You went from the traditional one and two family housing or the brownstones to these high rises that are now bought out by companies. The brownstones and like I said earlier, the brownstones and the one and two family houses are bought out by these companies, and these high rises are brought in. And now you don't really have that family setting as much as you once had. It's more of like a commercial setting because you have businesses in those things. You have people that have no history or no connection with the community coming into the community and doesn't understand the value or really don't can't relate to the people in the community. So it just ends up being a not the best situation for both parties.
Okay, and thank you so much for your answers. Overall, Trevor's story is just one of many of about gentrification in Flatbush and in Brooklyn as a whole. And after doing some research, I found out about names like Liz Ogbu, Bree Jones, and Rebecca Carroll, all influential people that have spoke about gentrification and how gentrification doesn't have to be a bad thing or about displacement, how it can be something about healing within the community and revitalizing the neighborhood. Overall, gentrification is a pressing issue in Flatbush as it's affecting many people within the community. In the end, I hope that through my podcast, you were able to either learn something or have some type of takeaway about a pressing issue that's affecting many in a community that's not too far from ours. So, thank you all for listening.